Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Miranda. I'm the founder of Miranda's Designs and Creations. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, especially if you are new to sewing and you want to learn how to sew and how to go about it. I'm a fashion student myself, so I want to take you along my journey and let us grow together. Let us teach one another. Today I want us to learn how to calculate or how to make a circle skirt, and we'll be dealing with a full flare or 360 degrees circle or 360 degrees flare. So there is a formula that is used to calculate this flare. So I'm not good at drawing, but I just want you to have some kind of a visual of what I'm talking about. So something like that. And this would be around our waist. So this is our waist radius, or the measurement that you want your waist to fit in, right? So in order for us to calculate this, there's a formula that you need to apply so that when you cut on the fabric, the skirt is going to fit nicely. So there's a formula here. It says C is equals to 2 pi r. If you remember your mathematics, it's a very simple formula, and in our equation we substitute C with your waist measurement. Okay, I'm going to be leaving the link in the description section so that if you're not very sure about how to calculate or how to get your waist circumference or your measurements, you can go and watch that and then come and watch this tutorial. So this is going to be substituted by the measurement that you will take of your client, or if it's for yourself, you have to measure yourself, and this is what you're going to use to substitute the C. Then 2 pi already has a value, so you don't have to stress about that. This has already been calculated many years ago by the mathematicians, so it makes your work easy. So we know that pi is, the value of pi is 3.14. okay, so what that means is that you just multiply this by 2, or if you want you can say 3.14 plus 3.14, which will give you 6.28. okay, so that becomes your value for the pi. And because we are using a 360 degree flare, we multiply it by 2, so it will be 2 times that value. Okay, so this means that now we have to be able to rewrite our formula so that we are able to calculate for r. Remember, if this is a circle, then we want to find this distance from your circle, let's say, to that point. So once you know this value here, then you can be able to extend it to whichever point on the circle, and you can be able to draw the measurement that you want. If, for example, you want to use this flare, I'm making a flare that I'm going to apply to the waist of a top or of a blouse. But you can apply this to your hip, you can apply it to your knee, you can apply it maybe on an off-shoulder dress, you can apply it on your sleeve, so you can apply it anyway. As long as you know the formula, then you can just be able to substitute that with the measurements that you have, do the calculation, and you have your flare. So once you know the radius of your waist, then you know that when you're cutting on fabric, it's going to fit perfectly. Okay, having said that, we write down our formula, which is C is equals to 2 pi r, and we said our pi r is your waist radius, rather it's your waist measurement, the measurement that you get after you've measured the person. In my case, I'm working with the waist measurement of 43 inches. But before I can come to that, it means we have to rewrite this formula so that we'll be able to derive our radius. Okay, so if we say r, then it must be C crosses on the other side, and then you say C over 2 pi r. We have already calculated 2 pi r, we know is 6.28, so that is 3.14 times 2, or 3.14 plus 3.14, it should give you it should give you 6.28. So our waist measurement that we are working with is 43 inches, okay? And then divided by 6.28. Now here on this 43 inches, remember my peplum or my flare is going to be attached to a blouse that has a zipper at the back, so I must account for the zipper allowance on the flare. So for me, I'll just add 1 inch. It should be okay. So then this becomes 44 over 6.28. I hope that's clear. It's a very simple arithmetics. If you go back to your mathematics, it shouldn't be difficult to derive. Okay, so after you have gotten your waist measurement plus your sewing allowance or your zipper allowance, you want to divide that by 6.28 so that you can find your radius. Mine gives me about 7 inches. So when I'm cutting on fabric, I know that my radius is going to be 7 inches. So for this, we know that our radius is 7 inches, and then you also need to know the length of your flare. Okay, mine, I think I'm going to be working with the length of about 10 inches. I think it should do. So I know my radius is 7, and I know my length is 10 inches. So now we are ready to calculate and to put this on fabric and cut it, and we should be getting an accurate measurement of the flare. So before cutting our peplum on fabric, I just have a piece of paper here. I just want to make sure that you understand before we actually cut it on fabric. So if this is your fabric, okay, what you do is and I hope you can see this, okay, so you fold it into 2 half, okay. So we're just assimilating that this is your fabric, so you would fold it that way and then fold it again. So you have folded it into 4, okay. So it should be a perfect square. It should give you a perfect square. So once you have it folded this way, okay, what you do is, we spoke about our radius and we calculated our radius to be what? To be 7 inches, okay. So what you do is you would get your tape measure and then you would go to the sharp corner. This is where there's no opening. This is where you fold it. Remember, we folded it this way and then folded it again. So you would come to this corner and then you would measure your 7 inches. Obviously this won't give me 7 because it's just a piece of paper, but let's imagine that this was your 7 inches, okay. So you just measure all around that 7 inches, okay. You measure 7 inches all around so that you get your radius. So this would be your radius. That is where your waist would be, okay. Once you do that, you come now and you say, on mine I said I'd be working with the length of 10 inches. So my flare would be 10. So from where this line ends, I will mark my 10 inches down, okay. So let's assume this is my 10 inches. Again, you will just move your tape measure from that line and measure 10 inches all around, okay. 10 inches, 10 inches. And remember, when you are measuring here, I said 10 inches, but I will have to add about an inch when I'm cutting on the fabric because I have to fold it or to finish off the edge. So in order to allow for that allowance, when I'm cutting it on fabric, instead of cutting 10 inches, I would cut 11 inches. So then you would connect those dots, okay. You would have something like that, okay. So this would be your radius, and what you do is now you just cut it out like this, okay. You would cut this out, okay, and then you cut there where the length falls, okay. And when you open this up, you should have something like a circle, something like that. Okay, and because my flare is going to have a zipper allowance, like I said, so what I'll do is just to open up one of the sides. You can open here or wherever, it will be the same. So you have
a peplum like this, and this is what you're going to attach to the, in my case it will be to the blouse. So if you are making a dress and you're attaching it to the knee or to the shoulder or to the sleeves, it will look something like this.
Okay, so I only realized afterwards that the video was not recording, but I'll take you through what I did. So after folding the fabric into 4, remember, we folded it into half and then folded it into half again. So we had a shape like this. So the only thing that I did was I went on to mark the radius. Remember, we had said we were working with a radius of 7, but I said I was going to use 6.5 inches so that it will give me half-inch allowance when I'm attaching the peplum or the flare to the blouse. So what I did was I just marked with my chalk 6.5, or around 6.5 like that, and then I went on to join that line, join this line, and then I cut it off. Okay, so this now gives me where the waist would lie, and then from that 6.5, remember I said I would maintain the 10 inches, but I thought, since I want this pink part to form part of the peplum, especially in front, I just decided to use almost the entire length that I've already folded, because I've already measured the radius and I didn't want to refold it again. So what I did was I took 11.5 inches from that 6.5 mark, placed the tape measure like that, and I just started measuring the 11.5 inches, 11.5 like that, all the way around until the end, and then just going on to cut it. So I'll just complete, because I've already started cutting there. So what you do is you continue cutting it like that. I'm following the line that I'd put when I was marking it with my chalk, so that it's accurate. Okay, so there we have the shape of our peplum. I'm just going to remove this fabric and this piece as well, since we were not going to be using it. So this is what we have for now. This is in the shape of our peplum. But before I open it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this peplum or this flare to cut my lining and to also cut the fusing, because I want the peplum to stand and to have that bounce. Even though I'm not going to add horsehair or crinoline, I think it will still stand okay, because the fusing that I'm going to use is the hard one. It's more on the heavy side. So I'm going to just show you the lining and the fusing that I have, that I'm going to use for the peplum. Okay, so here I have with me my fusing or the interfacing. It's like a paper, but if you look at it closely, one side is shiny and the other one is kind of dull. So this shiny part is a glue. This is what will stick to the fabric when you've ironed on the fabric. So what I did was I did the same thing that we did with our flare, just folded it into 2, and then I'm going to fold it again into 2. So it's going to be folded into, we're going to fold it into 4, and then I'm just going to place the flare that I've already cut to cut this fusing, because I want it to give it texture once I've ironed it to the fabric. So what I'm going to do is, I folded it into 2, okay, folded it into 2, then again into 2, so it's folded into 4. Okay, just placing it to match. Sometimes people refer to this as peplum stay because it's quite stiff, and it makes your peplum have that bouncy flare, especially if you're not going to be adding the horse braid or horsehair or crinoline. So I'm just going to place it this way, and then I'm just going to cut it out. I'm going to do the same thing for the lining. I'm just going to place this peplum that I already cut on top of the lining, and then I'm going to cut it out. So I'm just cutting out the upper part. So this is the part that will give us, sorry for that, that will give us the radius, and then I'm cutting the down part like that. Okay, so my doors are making noise there, sorry for that. Let's try to cut through. Okay, so this is what we have after cutting we have our main fabric here, and then we also have our fusing. I'm also going to cut the lining, and then I'll show you how that looks like. Okay. So here I've gone on to cut the fusing. So we have the fusing, we have the main fabric, and then we have the lining. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open one of the sides. I'll open this one for the main fabric. I'll open one of the sides, so this is going to be where the zipper will be fixed. I'm also going to open one, so I'm going to put this aside because I'm going to be working with a lining now. So I'm just going to open one of the sides and the lining, and also I'm going to open one of the sides for the fusing. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to iron this fusing onto the lining. Okay, so I'm just going to spread open this. This is our lining. Okay, and we want to attach this to the wrong side. So this is on the wrong side of the fabric of your lining, and then you are going to take your fusing, your interfacing, and you are going to place the shiny part on top of the lining, and we're going to iron this on. If you're using a steam iron, make sure you dry iron, don't use the steam, because the glue will not glue properly because of the steam. So just dry iron it and then iron this. The heat is going to make the fusing stick to the fabric, and then it's going to give it texture that will make your peplum flowy and bouncy, and it's going to really look nice. I don't like it when I see a peplum that's kind of, you know, doesn't have that bouncy look to it, but that's my preference. You can make yours simple, especially if you're just experimenting with it, and then later on you can go on to add your fusing, you can go on to add your horsehair, and it will give it a nice look to it. So I'm just going on to iron this fusing to the entire lining, and then I'll show you once this is done how it looks like. Okay, so you keep on ironing until you've ironed the whole lining with the fusing. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I've gone on to iron the interfacing to the lining. You can see it's attached all through and all through. Okay, and you can see that it's giving it some texture. So this will allow the peplum to kind of, you know, stand and give it that firm look. So what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to take my table is small here. Let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the main fabric and I'm going to pin it to the lining, to which I've attached to which I've ironed on the fusing. So I'm going to put right sides facing each other. It's the right side. Okay, so I'm just going to pin this way. I'm going to pin it all the way. So I'll pin it from here. I'm going to pin it all the way around, and then after that I'm going to sew it so that it is attached permanently before we can turn it inside out. So I'm just going to put in some pins there so that it doesn't move when I'm sewing it on with the machine. Okay, so just put some pins there to help you hold the fabric. And this top or the main fabric is quite slippery, so it moves on the machine. So to give it stability, I'm just going to put the pins. If you think you can handle the fabric, especially if you're using like the Ankara, the Chitenge fabrics, those are quite stable on the machine. So if you can handle that, you can just go straight on the machine, take in your sewing allowances, and then just stitch around. So I'm going to pin this all the way around, take it to my machine, and then sew it. I'm probably going to snip because this is kind of a circle shape. So every time you sew on a curve or like oval shapes, you need to snip so that you give it room. And then it will be able to lie nicely when you've turned it inside out. So once I've cut this, I'm going to show you how it looks like before we can go ahead to attach it to the blouse that I'm making. Okay. Okay, so having attached the main fabric to the lining, which also has the fusing on the other side, what I'm going to do next is we're just going to notch the down part so that the peplum can be able to relax. So make sure you don't cut closer to the stitch, because then you're going to spoil everything. So you just go around, notch all the way up to the other end, okay, so that when we turn this to the other side, it will be able to sit nicely. You can fold it and then you can do a top stitch to make the peplum stay very well. So I'm just notching quickly all around, taking care not to go close to the stitch. Okay, just notch all the way, and then after we finish notching, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it to the other side. So that will be the right side, because right now this is the wrong side. Because remember, when we were sewing, we placed right sides facing so that we could stitch on the wrong side. So you stitch all the way, not close to the stitch itself, but all the way around, because this is a curve. So you want to give room to the fabric to be able to relax. Otherwise, your peplum won't sit nicely. So I'll just stitch all the way. Rather, I'll notch all the way. I'll notch this other end as well. And then I'm just going to flip it to the right side and press it. So what I did is I cut off these corners so that when you turn, the corner will be sharp. Otherwise, your corners won't come out so sharply. Because you want the corner to also turn and look sharp nicely. I'm also going to reduce this bulk. You can see there's still bulk around that area, which can make it difficult when you are turning it inside out. So you can find a sharp object that you can use to help you turn out that corner nicely after snipping it, and then you can be able to turn it nicely. So remember, since the top part is still open, it's easy to turn the peplum inside out, and then after that you can give it a nice press before going on to attach it to the blouse. In this case it's going to be a blouse. I'll be showing you what that blouse looks like. And then I'm also going to cut the peplum the way we cut it, but this time to fit the sleeves, because she wants something flowy like that. So there we go. You just turn it nicely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to my iron and I'm going to press it so that it lies perfectly on the edges. So you just turn it all the way. Our peplum is quite big, so you need some patience so that your work will look nice and neat. So another thing you can do is to top stitch, give it a small stitch by the edges, or you can top stitch this way before you turn it. So you would, before turning it, what you would do, I hope you can see this, you would turn this extra piece, turn it towards the lining like this, turn it towards the lining inside there, and then you top stitch on that part. Okay, you top stitch so that you can help it to lie flat. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to iron it nicely. After turning it completely, I'm going to iron it to help it stay before I attach it to the blouse. I think it's going to look very nice. I like the color, it's quite bright and it gives you this nice feel. So I'm just going to iron that to help it lie flat like that. So this is what our peplum is going to look like once it's done. It's going to be something like this once it's attached to the blouse, and if it's a skirt it would look something like that. Okay, so I'm just going ahead to press it nicely so that these seams can lie nicely inside there together with the fusing, and then after that we're going to now attach it to our blouse. Okay. Okay, so after ironing the peplum, this is how it looks like. I went on to iron it so that it could lie flat. So now it's ready to get attached to the blouse. This is the blouse where I'm going to be attaching it. Still has some pins, so it put on the mat there. So this is the place where I'm going to be attaching the peplum to. Okay, this is the blouse. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold the peplum in two, and then I want to notch the center. Okay, I'm going to notch the center, that way it's easy to just attach it. Okay, I'm going to notch the center there, and then I'm going to start attaching it to the blouse. So this pink part, like I had said, I want this pink part to be on the front. So what I'm going to do is just to place it that way, and then I'm going to attach from the center all the way around to the center back, and then from this other side all the way around until to the center back that way. And once it's attached, it's going to look so beautiful. Wow, I like the colors. And then so you sew it on the inside. After you attach it, I'm going to put pins so that it can stay in place, and then I'm going to attach it all the way around all the way up to the back, okay? And then I'm going to do the same all the way around this way, and then after that I'm going to sew and then just sedge it or overlock it, and then it will be attached. When you flip it, it's going to be attached on the other side. So let me do that, and then we're going to see how it looks like after I've gone on to attach it. I'm going to overlock it, and then I'm going to flip it over. So here is our peplum. I went on to finish off the flare. I also attached the sleeves, which were also flares. So I cut them the same way we had cut when we were cutting our main peplum, and I just went on to attach it to the blouse, and it looks so beautiful. I was able to put this pink part, some pink part in the front, and I think it makes the blouse look more colorful. So that is how you go about making your peplum or your flare. So this is the 360 degrees flare. I'll be doing other tutorials on the other types of flares and how you can go about to make them. So please let me know if you have any comments, if you want to, any questions, anything that you'd like me to clarify further about the flare, just comment in the comment section. And please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on our next tutorial. Keep safe. Bye bye.